The Talk Talk, your infotainment program.
Hello.
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for joining us. I am Yori Fulani. Hope you had a great weekend. Well, our guest this morning is Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyebo. He's a retired naval officer. He's also an APC chieftain. So the first thing, of course, is to thank you for making yourself available. Good morning to you, Engineer Nuruddin.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Okay. Now, the war against, and this is where we might be able to tap into your, experience and knowledge of naval systems, the Navy, and what it takes. As you know, the president has recently issued a fresh order to the Chief of Defense Staff that they have to take out all the difficulties that we are having. Really, and not the least of which is oil theft. The president has said that they have to deal with it, and indeed the authorities at that meeting have said that results would be seen very, very shortly as a result of this. Now, Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyebo, you as a retired military officer, you will agree with me that these are not new directives. There have been one thing or the other. Maybe I should ask you, what is it that we've been missing, but now all the service chiefs and all the related communities are saying that this will be over in a very short time? What have been the difficulties?
First of all, there has to be the issues surrounding the difficulty in our maritime sector, particularly with regard to oil theft, is not an issue of one agency. It's not just the Navy, because it has to, you need to look at it from a multidimensional point of view. The Navy, as a member of the armed forces, have their role to play. You have the NEMASA, which is a civil organization, have their own role to play. There are critical stakeholders in the maritime industry. So all these agencies will need to understand their role to play and collaboratively, when they come together, and again, there will be meaningful results. And again, remember, we are in the Gulf of Guinea, so there are neighboring countries as well whom their lack of maybe not doing well in their own capacity to consequently affect Nigeria in the maritime domain. So I think it's not just a Nigerian thing. We need to also extend our hands beyond the Nigerian border, so that our neighbors in the Gulf of Guinea can as well be adequately equipped. Because today, if you look at in Nigeria, every time we talk about security, we hinge it on the strength of personnel and firepower, which is okay. But at the same time, we need to also look at what is the state of those personnel, what is their moral state before they delve into this issue of handling, the security issues. Do you just, because you have a large number or you have the adequate firepower, it means you can do your work? No. We need to address a lot of things. And now that the president is coming with a renewed hope, to really support these armed forces in carrying out their responsibilities and their mandates, then we as well have to look at issues that internally affect the personnel who in turn will carry out these duties. And this brings me to a point where I will express issues of welfare and the personnel's morale. Because if you look at today, keep even the issues of oil theft aside, as much as important as it is, we have what is happening today even with the police. We expect the police to do their civil policing adequately, be efficient and effective. However, they lack basic things to carry out this responsibility. So we need to not only, and again, if you know, the police also have a role to play they are also one of the critical stakeholders in the maritime industry, because you have the marine police. So there has to be a total review of this process. The personnel have to be adequately taken care of in the sense that their morale must be boosted, their welfare will have to be adequately taken care of. Today, we have challenges in the military that seeks to undermine the state of personnel and, restrict them from attaining to courses or appointments or holding on to good offices because of their mode of entry. These are fundamental issues that needs to be addressed by the armed forces.
Okay.
And the president
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something, Engineer Nuruddin. That bit that you've just spoken about now, that's a surprise to me, because Nigeria as a country has never stinted on provisions for the military, the armed forces. So maybe the rest of us who are not uniformed people or retired from there might not really understand that. Most people do not have the understanding that the military forces lack anything that they need.
Of course, believe you me, if you like, have 1 million members of the armed forces, if you like, have the best of standard facilities, equipment of the art, deploy them, you will see lapses so long as these personnel are not adequately taken care of. If you see, most of the countries today we look at, developed countries, or even perhaps places we borrowed these traditions from, the reason why you see efficiency in the personnel carrying out their duty is because they have been adequately taken care of. You don't just send a soldier to go and do his work while he is thinking that when his wife gets sick, it will be his own problem. Or when it is time for him to pay school fees, it will be his own problem. Believe you me, these are things that we all know as a people in this country. And it is what is affecting security too, and it's fundamental, it has to be addressed. And that is why I'm talking about in the armed forces, particularly in the armed forces, because it's my constituency, I have a good knowledge of it, and as well advocate that they should be adequately equipped so that they carry out their responsibility. However, at the same time, these same armed forces should be checked, because if we allow the armed forces that is seen to be also uniting this country and one of the pillars that keep this country together, but internally they create disunity among their officers and men, then there's a problem. Because I tell you now, there are proposals by the armed forces, even though there was a lame disclaimer to it, but I want to tell you there is no smoke without fire. They have proposed to the president on a harmonized terms and conditions of service that seek to hold back officers because of their mode of entry into the service. And again, clearly, with facts, I can tell you today, we have officers who have not attained courses because of their nature of commission. We have officers who will seek to stay, who we make to stay in a particular rank for years because of their nature of commission. We have officers who cannot be appointed to certain offices or hold on to some positions because of their nature of commission. And this is not good for the system. Until most of these things are reviewed, there is no way you get efficiency of the service. And the president should also, as a matter of urgency, review these things like we have the Police Service Commission. Today in this country, we have the Police Service Commission. I can give you a clear case of what happened with the former ADC to Aisha Buhari. When he had some slight issues with the First Lady, he was suspended from her ADC, but some big people around the power then wanted him out of the police, but the Police Service Commission was there to protect him. So if the armed forces on their own are demonstrating their inefficiency to handle their personnel, provide a level playing ground for officers to thrive based on capacity and merit, then the presidency should as well review these things and even establish maybe the Armed Forces Service Commission that will seek to bring back retired officers that have the interest of the country at heart and the emphasis to manage this commission so that we address these basic issues. Then we can now begin to talk about their efficiency, at sea, in the air, or on land. Because otherwise, if you don't handle this thing, I am telling you, we will continue to waste our time as a people, and the president needs to know all these things. It's a good thing that he has demonstrated his willingness to make sure that the emphasis their work. But he also has to know that there are basic issues that are holding the emphasis from doing this thing, and one of it is what I just mentioned, and that has to be looked at critically and addressed as a matter of urgency so that it will help, because somebody going to work knowing that he has to deliver for the country, however, when he finished doing his work, there is no reward to it. Like people used to say, loyalty without reward, it's slavery. So I think the president needs to look at that. Good Nigerians will have to sit down and come together. The police have to be adequately taken care of. Look at how many barracks today do we have in Nigeria that is dilapidated. And yet we every time tell police people not to be corrupt. You cannot just give somebody a rifle with a magazine fully loaded. You keep him on the road for hours. And again, he can't even feed himself. How do you then justify that this man should not be corrupt? I'm not promoting somebody being corrupt. But again, at the same time, I have to be fair to the man on the other side. So the same thing for the armed forces. We really have to be fair. We really have to be, have a sincerity of purpose in our dealings with this country, because the president has re-energized us. He has given us a clear sign that he wants to fix this country, and good people should support him at different levels so that he achieves his mandate. And that is what I have to say on this.
A couple of things came up for me in what you've just said. First of all, as the president, we've just been talking about that, has issued a fresh order of zero tolerance for all the wastefulness, the criminality, the vandalism that has been going on against our key core asset. That's what we've been talking about. Now, all of these things that you've also just explained, it can be a bit confusing, because this was a meeting with the very, very highest level in our security architecture, very, very close. So we're talking there about the Chief of Defense Staff. And does what you have said, does it not imply that they do not, from the president on down, they do not actually have a good lie of the ground? They don't actually understand how the ground lies, is why they can be making those orders. And you are saying that there are other aspects to it, such as you have enumerated. That can be a bit confusing to people that, look, those who should know, those are the people we were holding meetings with. For instance, even all that you have said, I imagine that perhaps the Chief of Defense Staff and all these other big guns will know a fair bit about that situation and then some. So how do you rationalize this situation?
They are administratively considered as officers who give instructions. Now, if you look at, does the Chief of Defense Staff goes to the field? No. Does the Chief of Naval Staff or the Chief of Air Staff or Army Staff goes to the field? Hardly, except in few cases, like you see in the past government, and even this current Chief of Army Staff, in some cases he has demonstrated to the president, and this is to boost their morale, he go and be with them in the field. However, it is a rare gesture. Most of it is their administrators, and they rely on their field officers for the discharge of this responsibility. And that is why I'm telling you there are fundamental issues. And these fundamental issues has to be addressed. Knowing what the problem is, my brother, is one thing. Then having a way to address it is another thing. And that way to address this problem is not just giving instruction to somebody who you have provided, be it a ship on the water or a jet on the air or some tanks on the land. This is not the case. The case is, have you provided that person with the moral capacity? Have you taken the welfare of that person that will enable him to do his work, which is a critical question we should be asking and find out good answers. Otherwise, I'm saying knowing the problem is not just the solution. You must have to find out how to solve the problem, with who to solve the problem, before you go about doing it. And that issue I am talking about is fundamental, and it has to be addressed. Let it be addressed critically.
Knowing the problem, as you implied, is not the entire solution, but it's an important part of the solution. Knowing the problem is an important part of the solution. And I take what you have just been saying because, first of all, you're an analyst, you're a retired naval officer, you're an APC chieftain, and that brings me to, for instance, the role, because at those meetings that I was just referring to, much was said of the fact that this is not something for the military to do exclusively. Everybody, even civilians, have a hand in this. So the question I was now going to ask is, why, the question I wanted to put is, if that is indeed the case, the people part of it, give me your impressions on the role that politicians allegedly play in making the situation as intractable as it has been all this while. So much so that the president has, as we've spoken about, recently reissued a long-standing order.
Come again? I can't.
Okay, you couldn't hear. I was wondering. I was wondering that. So you are implying now that we might not have a full grasp of the matter, such as you have explained. People don't know the concerns of those servicemen, and if those concerns could be adequately addressed along the lines that you have spoken of, we will get much better results. So whatever is preventing that, I guess that's still blowing in the wind. We could talk about that. But my sort of inquiry now is, how about the role of politicians, allegedly? Because you said, not you, but the meeting also noted that, it's not a matter for the military alone. So when we come, if it's not for the military alone, when we're talking about civilians, invariably there will be politicians. Tell me your take as an APC chieftain, in Adamawa, I believe, as an APC chieftain. Tell me your take on the role of politicians in all of this.
Thank you very much. The role of politics, I will tell you, ordinarily, the role of politics should have, outlined these issues, and then, because it will form part of the president or the party manifesto, even the president come to power, even before the party takes over power. And sincerity of purpose is key to us addressing this issue. So politicians across board, we need to be sincere with this country. We need to listen to look at things the way we are supposed to look at them, because it's not, if today, if you check, all the services have some political committees around them one way or the other. At the defense level, you have the Senate Committee on Defense, you have the Senate Committee on Army, Navy, and Air Force. So cut across, there are a lot of committees down to the reps. So if there is a sincerity of purpose, if we really understand what this problem is, and the armed forces too are providing the adequate information to these politicians that will look at, analyze, and give a very good solution to the problem, because as it stands today, democracy has come to stay, and that is why people like me, who was in the military, resigned, and now actively participating in politics, have the opportunity and the privilege to sit here and discuss about these challenges. Ordinarily, if it were maybe in the military era, I wouldn't have done that. But again, what I'm saying is sincerity of purpose.
One moment. I beg your pardon for interrupting you because Festus in Ketu has called in for a while. Good morning to you, Festus in Ketu. Thank you for holding on.
Good morning, sir. It's Festus from Ikorodu.
Okay, I beg your pardon. Festus in Ikorodu. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Please
Good morning,
go ahead.
Sir. Yes, sir. I want to contribute to your program.
Sure.
So, this oil theft issue you are discussing today is a very interesting topic. I am a Niger Delta man. I come from Niger Delta. And I want to let you know that until politicians remove their hand from stealing our crude oil, because all this you are seeing today are being done by politicians. I wish the Mr. President can go to Niger Delta by himself and see what is happening. The rate at which they are moving the crude oil, being guided by security personnel with convoy, you will be shocked, Uncle Yori. A lot of things are happening. Politicians are the ones stealing our crude oil in Niger. I come from Niger Delta. I live in the Kurodu, and I know what I'm telling you. The day politicians will stop to steal our crude oil, that is the day all this oil theft will end. And the way I see this country, anybody that wants to rule this country and rule it well must be ready to deal with people. Mr. President, you rise up to his responsibility and come to Niger Delta and see what is happening. Politicians conniving with local militants, with security personnel, are the ones stealing this crude oil. We can't continue like this. The crime is increasing every day by day. They will steal it. Nobody's been arrested. You can never see that one person has been arrested. We can't continue like this. And I'm begging on Mr. President to look into oil theft. He should please look into it. And he will find out that those who are doing it are people around him. They are not far from him. Thank you, sir, and God bless you.
Thank you very much for calling in. Okay, back to you, Engineer Nuruddin Hamanyebo. You heard that. There's even a trust deficit. You know, even you yourself, as you are speaking, you're a politician. The extent to which you will go, as you know, that is also a concern in speaking.
Look, Mr. Yori, I agree with some of the things this guy said, and I want to let you know. And that's why I said there are critical stakeholders in managing this issue. Today, tell me on what ground can you justify giving a company like Tantita to manage our pipeline? This is absolutely how do I put it? A lost, investment. I will not call it a wasted investment, because yes, he was a militant. Yes, he has agreed to lay down arms. He has been recalibrated into the society. But is that enough? Does he have?
You don't support. I beg your pardon. You don't support private security firms like Tantita being involved in this whole effort.
If I'm to support Tantita, I should support Tantita in providing native intelligence to support our security architecture. Remember, we have the DSS, we have the police, we have the Navy, we have the Army, we have the Air Force. These are competent, military apparatus that, when provided adequately with the desired equipments they so desire to combat this crisis, they will do their job. That is the sincerity of purpose I'm talking about. But today, we have someone like Tantita managing our pipeline security. And if you remember, I saw when the same NMPC that gave the contract are complaining of wasting so much money, yet the issue is not addressed. So who is deceiving who? We need to be fair to this country. We need to be honest with this country. It's not helping matters. Allow the security apparatus to do their job and do it very well. Provide them the necessary equipment to do their job. Because if you ask that, and that's why I'm telling you,
Let me get another contribution. Good morning, Mr. George. Thank you for holding on. Mr. George in Lagos. Good morning. Thank you for holding on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, they will make it louder, but I can just barely manage.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Good morning, sir.
To the guest. Uncle Yori, what the guest is saying about the welfare of officers is true. They need to, their service conditions need to improve. But in all honesty, that is not the reason for the massive oil theft. Let's look at figures. Before Tantita Security Organization was engaged, Nigeria was now producing less than 1 million barrels in a day. In fact, we were at 850,000 barrels in a day. As at end of August, Tantita, because of Tantita's intervention, Nigeria rose to 1.6 million barrels a day. That is to say, there has been an improvement when Tantita came in. And what do you see? During the period Tantita has been on the security operations, you see the military chiefs fighting with him. They don't want him to intervene. If you have a system that is bringing results, why should there be a fight? And Uncle Yori, don't forget, on several occasions, when Tantita arrests shiploads of crude oil, the military men themselves will be the ones to disclaim it. On one open occasion, they burnt the ship together with the crude that was seized. Up till now, nobody knows who brought in that ship and where the crude oil, what quantity of crude oil was destroyed. What are we talking about? As an ordinary Nigerian, I'm only interested in making sure that the oil that is lifted is of benefit to we common people. But the military cannot claim that they have been protecting us or they have been protecting our interest in that regard. Uncle Yori, there is no single individual or an ordinary person that can bring in ship and loot our crude in the high seas. It is the handiwork of well-placed people. Truth must be told. That's why I agreed when you were talking about the connection of politicians. And they are conniving together with the military chiefs. Those boys, those junior officers that are sent to the creeks, they are not the ones, but they take directives, they take instructions from their bosses. And that is why you see that the oil theft is going the way it is going. Okay. Somebody suggested that the president should go to the creek. The president cannot go there by himself. He doesn't have that time. He has to send people to go and verify, and he's doing something. We should give him the opportunity to do something, and we will see better results. That's my view.
Thank you very much for calling in, Mr. George. As you can see, Engineer Nuruddin, there's quite a bit to unpack there, but let me do a quick break. We'll be right back, and we'll continue with this conversation. Stay with us, please.
Every major news story is with many perspectives and layered with different levels of impact.
Hello. What time did this happen? We will be right there.
At TVC News, we follow the big and major news, gathering the facts, witnessing the outcome.
I am here live at the aftermath of the approval of the new national minimum wage.
We are TV station of the year, not just for breaking news, but for being first, fair and accurate. TVC News, first with breaking news.
Okay, welcome back, and our guest is coming out of our studio remotely in Abuja is Engineer Nuruddin Hamenyaro. He's a retired naval officer. He also is an APC chieftain, which makes him a politician. You heard the contributions of the last two people. Let's even take it from the very, very last. The point was made that, look, oil theft is not that kind of a criminal affair where you have petty criminals, small-time criminals who, put a craft on the seas and begin to steal a nation's assets. In other words, it is pointing to the fact that there's so much complicity seemingly involved for anyone to be able to pull off that kind of a stunt. But just before you come into it, I hear that I have on the line, well, they haven't written it here, but Oseni from Jos. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Thank you very much for calling in.
Yes. Please, Uncle Yori, let's say the truth. You see, Uncle Yori, if at all, those people that are engaged in all this, if you leave me, that are engaged in this oil theft are not being punished, definitely it will not stop. If you leave me, today, Nigerians know who are carrying out that mayhem on the country. Politicians, let me tell you, politicians in the high places, in fact, those people, some of them, they are among those that surrounded the presidency. No any arm of government in this country that is left behind in this particular issue. They are the ones engaged in all these problems. The question is, why is it that these people are being caught, and what is the remedy? What punishment is being served to them? And let me tell you, if we don't do that, if the president don't have the will to do with this thing as it is, when you are caught, let that person be dealt with decisively, and let Nigerians know who are the people stealing this fuel. We will not go anywhere. Look at the same problem today. You watch one of the programs, Berkete Family program. Did you know the problem in the oil sector? All the problem that President Tinubu is suffering to fix, that Nigerians are demonstrating on the street, it lies down the there. If he can be able to tackle that issue, allow Dangote to bring in fuel and begin to sell to Nigerians today, tomorrow, you will see turn around. Marketers have now put an association and blocked every truck not to go to Dangote and pick the fuel. And now, do you know how much are they selling the fuel? 900 to 1,000 naira. Why? When we have solution here, the man have gone in imported fuel for them to even come and buy at a cheaper rate. There is a cabal blocking them not to go there and buy. And we are calling this a country. Every day people are starving and dying for nothing. Just for some few people interest. Well, that distance, you don't need to even engage any private security. The army, the military, top-ranking ones, their hands is in this thing. Catch them, punish them, and see whether this thing will not stop, Uncle Yori. Why?
Well, thank you very much for calling in, Mr. Oseni, on this matter. Yes, as I had said, Engineer Nuruddin Hamenyebo, quite a bit to unpack, and I wanted to lean on the politician in you, because you are a ruling party chieftain. Now, the points are made, and all these points seem to flow into a channel called Nigerianness. That is to say, when Nigeria happens to you, it happens to you. How come not one suspect's name has been mentioned since, for instance, Tantita has been in operations and have been making apprehensions? So you never hear about anything. So really one begins to wonder, like quite a number of things, do we really want to address those things? Because there is no doubt that we can address them, but we can only address them in a particular sort of way. You can't go beyond a certain point. You can't provide information out there. You can't, quote unquote, name and shame people who have been preliminarily engaged with. So all of this then seems that there's no surprise as to the president having been issuing these kind of directives And people are saying that, well, we haven't seen anything come from those directives. And if we're not careful, people will completely lose faith and not even believe anymore.
Uncle Yori, it all boils down to the same thing I mentioned, sincerity of purpose. Sincerity of purpose from the NMPC, just like the way His Royal Highness, the Emir of Kano, suggested. Why have we not metered our energy system, particularly in the oil and gas? Why haven't we metered our oil and gas? You understand? Just like the way today we are metering electricity. It all boils down to the sincerity of purpose. Let Tantita, like you said, together. What I'm saying in essence, if Nigeria can invest heavily on this security architecture and still carry pipeline and give it to Tantita, then what have we, what are we calling the security system? Is it that it's a failed system? And if it's a failed system, what can we do to address it? And this is where politics comes in. Sincerity of purpose from the political aspect, the party should sit down, review what have we told Nigerians that we are going to do. Not as a party we'll be fighting each other now. If you look at my party, the APC, under the leadership of Ganduje, look at how have we supported the president? Him alone cannot do this. I always used to say that. It's one thing that the president wants to achieve sanity and bring about development in the country. Is another thing that he get adequate support from Nigerians, irrespective of party affiliation. But most importantly, his party, that's my party now, will need to demonstrate and not even to be fighting ourselves. Because look at the case, if we can't even address our simple issues as internal party problem, just like what is happening in most of the states, how do we then address the problem of Nigeria? It will be surprising that somebody will say, okay, I'm a party person and I'm talking like this in the national television. But it's okay to do that because I'm even calling it a favor to my party. Because when you listen to most of this, calling, it's left for us to sit down and address it. What is happening today in Benue State, it's a shame. It shouldn't be happening to our party. Look at what is happening between Governor Alia and his state party chairman. It's a shame. You can't really, these are people who are pillars to democracy. They are pillars to the party. They have done their best. I will still come back and we talk about the security aspect vis-a-vis the oil theft in the Niger Delta. But I am trying to address leadership issues in the party which consequently affect the aspect we are discussing, Okuliori. Now, if the party cannot address issues as simple as state conflict between governor and state party chairman, then how do we then address national issues, particularly like oil theft? Because today what is happening in Benue State has happened in my state, Adamawa State, and that is a shame because remember, we are gearing towards 2027. But today in Benue State, the Agada-led APC State Working Committee has been dissolved. On what ground? There is no constitutional ground whatsoever from the party to have dissolved the Agada Committee. It's wrong, it's unfair, and it should not be accepted. Because Alia, who is an opportunist in the party, is a governor, sorry to use this language, he came to the party when it was fully, when the party was nothing. Yes, he was popular, but popularity is one thing, winning the election is another thing. We have a candidate like him who was popular in Adamawa State. She couldn't win election because the party was not intact. There's conflict in the leadership. But he enjoyed the same party leadership, doggedness, and leadership coordination of the state party chairman together with other critical stakeholders, and he emerged as the governor. But look at what is happening today. He is busy running up and down, pillar to post, chasing shadows, wanting to punish the state party chairman, trying to push him out of the system. Will that help democracy? So if we can sit down and address small issues like this, how do we then address national issues like oil theft?
One moment, please. Mr. Olawale Inikorodu, thank you for holding on. Good morning.
Very much, Professor Yori. Yeah. God bless you. Hello?
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, okay. Please, your guest made pertinent point at the beginning of this conversation, and we seem to have derailed from it. He said,
I'm afraid my people are not letting me hear you. But continue. Continue, please. Are you hearing me?
Okay. That the people who are laying the golden eggs are being denied. Okay? You have to take care of the people at the battlefront, the armed forces. You have to take care of them. You cannot send them to the battlefront and the home front will be leaking. That is number one. Recently, you increase the salary of judges because having eye on 2027, okay, you let those ones who are in the battlefront, you have to take care of them, both the police and the armed forces. If you don't take care of them, we are not winning this battle. You have sent them to Zamfara now. You want to tell me they don't know where Bello Toji is, who has been troubling Zamfara State? Then secondly, the people who are involved in this oil theft, don't deceive yourself. They are in an NPC and presidency. God bless you.
Well, thank you very much. Okay, now, Engineer Nuruddin, okay, now you can, we've cleared the roads of those who wanted to contribute points of view as well.
Yes, Uncle Yori. Everybody have their own right to air their own opinion. But what I'm saying, in essence, there are basic things to addressing this, worrying situation. But again, first thing first, as a party, we need to address internal issues. Is very, very, very important. We should never forget that as we go divided, we stand to lose, and we'll lose woefully. So we should not allow issues like this, as primary as they are, to be going on, because it will affect our party. And if we are together, and address this problem and not witch hunt people, then we can sit down and look at, okay, look, I'm clear, I'm quite aware of the conference that the party will hold between ministers and some selected individuals quite across the 36 state plus FCT. Now, the aim of this conference likely is to discuss with ministers to see how they can, streamline their own policies that would align with the present initiative policy on mantra of renewed hope. Now, why is it now, Uncle Yori? Why now? Why are we doing it now? Because these are things we should have done in our first month in the office or second month. Remember, effective period of governance is not 4 years, Uncle Yori. It's 2 years or maximum 30 or 36 months, because immediately it's 2026, the atmosphere will change. It's political period. So if we are in the second year and we are still talking about bringing ministers to come and discuss with them to hear what are their policies. Some ministers have already wasted time. They have cheated this country. They have cheated Mr. President. They couldn't do anything in their mystery. Hence, he should fire them, because remember, these ministers were brought to office to support the president in achieving his renewed hope mantra. But today, what have we seen? In agriculture, can you say anything? Getting 2 years. In power, we are struggling with electricity hike. In energy, look at, somebody just mentioned, Uncle Yori, I bought fuel yesterday, 950 naira. And what has the party done about that? There is no public engagement. There is nothing in support of the president. He can't do it alone. As good as he is, if we can't support him internally to achieve this, it's a waste of time. And like somebody clearly mentioned, we have to be seen to be punishing people who errs, irrespective of their affiliation or their, contact with the powers that be. If we can't be doing that, Uncle Yori, Nigeria will go nowhere. And this is happening.
Let me, sorry to interrupt you. I beg your pardon. I really beg your pardon for interrupting you. Let me bring in Professor Edmund in Enugu. Good morning, Prof.
Yeah, good morning, Mr. Yori.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Yori, it seems your guests or some of your callers have totally deviated from the topic of the day. Or push for oil theft. That should be the topic. Why are they talking about party politics? The topic is not about party politics, but about oil theft. So I'm surprised that they are bringing in party politics 2027 into the main issue, which is push for oil theft. Is it not?
Well, yeah. Maybe they're looking at some of the remote causes of this oil theft, frustrating the push.
Yori, please, I disagree with.
Go ahead, Prof. Continue, please.
So
you disagree?
I disagree with them. I disagree with them, and I disagree with you, because the topic is push for oil theft in Nigeria. As a matter of fact, I feel ashamed to be a Nigerian. This is the only country of all the oil producing nations that oil theft is a recurrent decimal. It's a very big embarrassment to the nation. So the question is, what is the Navy doing? What is the Navy doing? What is the military doing? What is the NCSD doing? This is the main issue, because all these agencies, all these military agencies and paramilitary agencies, what have they been doing to checkmate this incident oil theft? Or do I take it that they are part and parcel of the oil theft? So it's very shameful. In 21st century, we are still talking about oil theft. The only country of all the oil producing nations that we talk about oil theft is shameful and disgraceful.
All right.
So something must be done about it.
Okay, Prof.
The military, the president should call the military to order, particularly Navy, NCDSC, and the Tantita, whatever they call them, Tantita.
Yes.
They should sit up. They're not doing their job. And as a matter of fact, they're embarrassing the president.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Prof. Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Edmund called in from Enugu there. The professor was wondering why it would appear that the conversation has veered away to, politics and the role of politicians. Even when we pointed out that, look, these were brought up as some of the remote causes of the problem, the professor was adamant and said it's not part of it. He doesn't think that's an intelligent conclusion. The professor wants us to stay on the straight and narrow, the push against oil theft. Which part of that do we not understand? Seems to be the professor's stance.
Uncle Yori, it cannot be discussed in isolation. There is no way you discuss oil theft matter in isolation, because it is party politics that brings leadership. It is the leadership that, identify those head of agencies and appoint them for a duration. It is the same leadership, that give clear tasks to those head of agencies that this is what the president wants to achieve within so period of time. And it is those, that's the tax we are talking about. So if you want to discuss oil theft in isolation, you will end up deviating as well. But if you look at it holistically, side by side, people that are supposed to be managing it, how they are even supposed to be selected, not because they are my people, but because they are capable. Not because we are from the same place, but because they have a good track record. You can't just push away. Yes. So
in the meantime, as you were speaking, Ugochukwu came on the line. Good morning to you, Ugochukwu.
Good morning, my brothers.
Thank you for calling in. Go ahead, please.
Yes. Thank you so much. I love the topic, oil theft. Very soon in this country, we'll be experiencing something that we won't believe. The youth are going very well. Imagine people who have graduated, professionals, class holders, who doesn't have anybody in politics. After graduating, no marriage, no nothing. Very soon, the army will be chased out of that Niger. The police can't hold them. Even the political, if you watch what is happening in this country now, if anybody has wisdom, the solution is keep the youth busy. How do you keep them busy? There is no companies in this country again. Where do they go? Most of them, I had the time they went to destroy one refinery, it's a local refinery. The group, they went there. Most of them are graduates. Hi, I went there. So I said, don't mess it. They said they cannot survive again.
Ugochukwu? Okay. Well, it does look as if that was truncated a bit. So, back to you now for the home stretch, Engineer Nuruddin. You were saying that these things could not be discussed in isolation of the environment that produces them, thereby indicating that politics is not an innocent entity in all of this. And but people are saying, well, if politics is not, you know, an innocent entity, then for how long is this going to continue? Because people see it that when
Uncle
you
Yori?
bring... Yep.
Uncle Yori, remember the agitation in the Niger Delta, you know, about oil production and destruction of their aquatic lives and not having adequate infrastructure within the Niger Delta region is what prompted President Obasanjo to establish the Niger Delta Development Commission. Over the years, Uncle Yori, over the years, how many years today down the line, what has been the achievement of the Niger Delta Commission? Remember the saga we have of this current sitting president and then MD, Joy Nunye, how it panned out even in the national media. A lot of embarrassments happen because there cannot be accountability. So that's why I say it's all encompassing. You have, when you are discussing it, you have to discuss everybody and everything in it, Uncle Yori, because you cannot just say oil theft. Remember, in the same Niger Delta today, there is human theft too. Because there is kidnapping too going on, you know, because sometimes it's the only thing, is the only way that will guarantee carry the oil, because when you come, is either you carry the people protecting the oil before you carry it, or you fight, kill them before you steal it. You understand? So either way, it is a disaster. But again, why I am still emphasizing on sincerity of purpose, politicians need to be sincere. The political structure, irrespective of party affiliation in the Niger Delta area, will need to sit down and review these things. How have we served our people? Has the Niger Delta Commission served its purpose? If no, what have we been doing that is wrong? Because if the president has done that to address infrastructural deficit, consequently to allow youth to get employed and allow production of this oil, you know, and today there's nothing happening, it means there's a big problem. The same thing is happening in every part of the country.
I would say, engineer, that this is part of what the problem, this is part of what the president intended when he, on his initiative, set up this meeting with the Chief of Defense Staff. There are so many aspects to it. All of them have to be lined up, perhaps brought to a round table, and then we have to look at it with the faith that it's not going to be business as usual. And I think that is also what you are saying, that these issues need to be looked at critically, holistically, if we want to make traction towards its solution. We're going to have to leave it here now. Engineer Nuruddin Haman Yebo, retired naval officer, APC chieftain, and I want to thank you very much for making time for us this morning. And also to thank our viewers that called in with their insights into the problem. That brings us to the end of our program today. Do please join us tomorrow for a fresh edition. I am Yori Folarin. Bye-bye for now.